Mr. Eggplant presents.
And welcome to the League of Legends Extreme Podcast.
Woo!
And this is woo. This is gonna be our first week doing a little League of Legends talk. I'm gonna try and focus on some of the bigger regions, maybe some that aren't so much talked about here in North America. I'm Colton McGuire, and we are joined by Mr. Eggplant, who is Tyler Greeley.
Hello.
He is the WoW god that you have seen videos from.
God in quotations.
Yes.
Small g.
All right. Well, we can jump right into day one of LCK, I guess. Some big things. Something that was kind of different and big. J4 was being picked as a counter into Gragas.
Yeah, I
Even
noticed
later
that.
on during the weeks, some teams were just blind picking Jarvan first pick too, because they felt so strong about it. It was interesting. It's kind of hit or miss. Saw MVP tried to play Sejuani top quite a lot. ADD did. He missed a lot of the ults. He was just kind of diving in and throwing them and hope they would hit.
Yeah.
Man,
That's kind of what you do on her, though. She's like, go!
yeah. MVP didn't have very good communication, it didn't seem like. He was just kind of rushing in there hoping everybody would follow him, but he would throw an ult and had no backup. And KT Rolster did not look very good first day either.
Oh, God. Yeah,
The
so
super team.
by the way, guys, we're going to be recording this in the background of a League of Legends game I played a couple months ago. So it was aptly, though he said it that way, when I just completely whiffed on a pull. So that's going to be great. Hope you guys don't judge me too much for my terrible play skills.
Which champ were you playing? Blitz?
Nautilus.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just kind of interesting. A lot of Thresh is kind of coming back into the meta, too.
See, I can't play Thresh, so that's actually kind of cool that he is getting played again, especially since he was so, like, he was basically almost like an auto block, like, what, 2 seasons ago?
Yeah, it's Dorn's shield's really helping out with that. It's so broken.
Yes, it is. I didn't notice that until I played Darius top in one game.
Yeah, so the AD carries can sustain themselves, so you can just pick things like Thresh now. Not have to worry about it. Even a few picks, saw some Blitzcrank. MVP with some more crazy picks. They max picked Blitz a couple times throughout the week. I think Key picked him once as well on Rocks Tigers, so it's pretty interesting. I'm trying to think. Trying to look here. Who was it? Nah, we'll get to it later.
All right.
But yeah, day one, generic Green Wings. That actually looks pretty good. Rift Herald was still pretty heavily ignored on the very first day there. So nothing interesting going on there. Saw some more interesting picks in day two of Freaker Freaks versus Ever 8. Let's see if I can't look. Let's see, what did they play?
And pardon our production values, guys. This is just the first episode. We'll get better at this. Think I'm gonna like this though.
Yeah. So, I guess it wasn't too super interesting, but just saw Ever 8 winners. Helper took Shin top. I don't know. It looks like for the LCK meta, Shin's not as strong anymore. Teams really aren't picking him, but I don't know. Like you were mentioning,
Yeah.
he seemed to be still in the NA meta. So
Well, yeah, that was the thing. Like for a lot of the games, which I'll admit I didn't watch all of the NA games because IRL got in the way, which was terrible. But like if he wasn't picked, he was banned, and well, of course they do have the 5 bans, as you know they always do. But
yeah,
it's really weird to see that somebody that's not necessarily so strong as especially as he used to be, but now he just either gets picked or banned. Oh, Ash, you got pulled. Terrible. Oh
yeah.
man.
I guess I guess the really interesting pick was a Freak of Freaks. Kramer decided to go with Draven, AD
Mm.
carry.
Hmm.
Did not work out too well for them.
I've noticed a lot of
Ever
people.
picked
Hmm?
the Tom Kinch support. I think it's the only one I saw this week.
Hmm. Yeah, I've noticed that Draven is working now if you build Death Dance. That's basically the only
See,
things I really see work.
they talked about that when Kramer picked him. They thought maybe he would go with that new pick or that item because they thought maybe it's been in the solo queue.
Mm.
Is what they mentioned, but he didn't build it, so kind of disappointing.
Yeah, we'll just have to see going forward, especially like people get comfortable with each other, like in weeks 5, 4 and 5, when everybody kind of feels each other out to know what strengths and weaknesses are going. It'll be interesting to see what items are built and when.
Yeah, but yeah, Ever 8 they came out the gate pretty strong. Dominated pretty much game 1 versus the Freak of Freaks.
Hmm.
Um, saw saw a lot of Doran shields coming out during those matches. In every lane, it was crazy. Like it's really broken. Like top 80 carry, mid. Doesn't matter if you were AP, AD, playing against
AD Cannon with Doran's Blade, go!
Yeah, you just pick the Doran shield and rock
Yeah.
it.
Well, I noticed in some of the, I think it was in the TSM C9 game, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but I noticed that their supports were just building Dorn Shield. Like, especially on Lulu, it was strong as heck. I did not think that that would be an item that would be worthwhile taking on her. And Biofrost was like, no, I'm going to play it.
Wow, that is very. Yeah, I don't think I saw Doran shield in his supports.
But that's interesting, especially since I main support. Like, not that I'm some god tier player, but that would work so well with the supports like Nautilus or the supports like Blitzcrank that I play with. Because I pretty much build Blitz and Nautilus the same way, except for maybe a few items. But that would be a really strong pick. Even if I got an early Tarragon shield or Targon shield, I don't know why I say Tarragon, but I always add extra.
Tarragon.
Yeah, I add extra letters in everything I play. Like Heimerdinger is Himajigger. Like I don't know why I call him that, but I don't know. I'm just weird, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't think I saw any Lulu supports.
oh, that's
There was
one
a
thing
lot of
too.
Thresh, Karma,
I saw several
some Zyra
Lulus,
was
yeah.
still getting through there.
I don't think I saw in the games I watched. I didn't see any Zyra. Well, if I did, she was very forgettable.
Yeah, I guess Lulu was on some of the ban lists though, so that may.
Yeah, you kind of have to
why
take
I
that into
didn't see her.
consideration.
Speaking of bans, Kinnan was banned a ton the first few games.
Because of his
phase
free
roll.
low stuns. Ugh.
Yeah, Zach was almost permaban every game.
Yeah, I noticed that
I
as
only
well.
saw him. I saw him one game, and he dominated. So
Well, another jungle that I noticed was banned a lot was Ivern. Like C9, CLG, Ivern didn't get through once. Like that was kind of surprising. At least in the games that we've played together, I don't feel like Ivern. Like I feel like he's hit or miss. But apparently in the LCS, they're like, no, I do not want him anywhere near the Rift.
yeah, LCK. I just remember. I think they were talking about it at MSI. The LCK don't even see Ivern as a real champion.
Oh,
They
really?
don't even ban him, or they rarely play him.
Yeah. Huh.
It's just not their playstyle, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not a jungler by any means, but I don't know. I don't know. You kind of have to have the perfect team for him to be really viable, I think. It's just my opinion, but
Yeah.
so for LCK, who do you think is the team to beat right now, or what looks good to you?
Well, Samsung's got the #1 spot right now. They're looking pretty good. I mean, the last match I watched, they had, who did they play? They had a few mistakes, but it was against Rocks Tigers, yeah. I mean, they had a few mistakes, but they closed out the game. They're 2-0, top of the seed. Them and Longzhu.
Really?
are the top 2 seeds right now, actually.
Interesting.
Because Longview just came out and completely destroyed KT rosters. They took them 2-0.
Well, that's
And
the thing.
they have three new players on their team. They're just like clean the house.
Yeah,
And
like
it's brilliant.
where do all these? Obviously they come from the challenger ranks, but like where are all these players coming from? I noticed the same thing in NA. Was like all these teams that are pretty much new, especially like Immortals for example. Like they have what half a new team, and yet they're sitting there and they're just mopping up, which is I mean, honestly it's really cool to see. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it looks like your normal go-to, oh, they're going to win 60% of their games or whatever is maybe not the case now. Here's looking at you, Cloud9.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I would say right now the teams to beat are probably Samsung and Longview.
Hmm.
Tomorrow, actually, we'll have to see if Samsung can live up to their name and see if Afrika can maybe take another top team down out of the blue. They like to do that randomly and then lose against teams they should beat.
Yeah. Ooh, speaking of losing, I'm pretty sure, yep, on your screen right now, I just got owned. That's great. Warwick
Nice.
Jungle OP in silver.
Then Wednesday will be a good one. SKT versus Longview.
So
See if
you think
Longview
that'll be
can
like the
take
game
them.
of the week type thing?
Yeah, I would probably say that's probably the game people are going to be looking forward to.
Yeah.
Because really, I mean, after that first game against Samsung, SKT looked horrible. But they only had a few days from MSI, so people use that as their excuse.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's understandable. So they really weren't prepared, and Samsung definitely was, and just kind of stomped them into the ground. But after that game, SKT picked it up pretty quick.
Well, I noticed in NA, I guess we can kind of shift over to NA if you're up for that. But
Yeah,
I actually saw that quite a bit. Like, a team wins game one, and then they just get annihilated the rest of the time. Like I said, I only watched approximately 4 or 5 games, with FlyQuest being my favorite team. Elimination is my favorite player, and unfortunately, they got raffle stomped. They didn't. They just couldn't get out of the gates, and especially against FlyQuest, they just. I don't know. I was hoping that they were kind of the hey, look, we're actually a team here in the spring split, and then they ended up finishing fourth, which wasn't bad. But then they come and play to for this last week, especially even against Dignitas, they just got annihilated. So I'm really hoping to see some better to play for them, especially since Wild Turtle just recently got traded to their team. New 80 carry, Alltech is on the bench. Unfortunately, sad day. But hoping for good things from them. But some of the other games that I did watch was Immortals versus Phoenix One. P1 took the first game, which I mean it was a back and forth fight, but they ended up winning with Shin, as we kind of alluded to earlier. And not that Shin is the most amazing champion right now, but he's been very strong. Is soaking damage. That was the big thing, and that we're actually playing fantasy LCS. We have teams with a couple of friends, and Phoenix One's top Zig actually played Shin first game, so that was one reason I wanted to make sure and kind of watch and see how he's playing, and he did really well. I mean, he wasn't the reason they won, but if you go back and look at the damage that he soaked, it was like 2-1 compared to the next highest player, which I mean, he didn't die a lot, so that was kind of what you want. But then from there, as we were talking about bans earlier, Immortals banned Shin, and
yeah,
that was it. Like, well, that's not entirely the reason they lost. Poe Belter just completely, he was the MVP,
yeah.
bar none. He picked it up in game two, played Ari. It was interesting, was because I'm looking like the main picks in mid are Ari or what's her name? I can never think of her name. Oriana. There we go. Like
Oh yeah.
Oriana
Orion's
has
so
the
huge.
chance to just absolutely snowball and annihilate an entire team with one ult. And like if you focus her, which even if you do kill her, her teams, even if she just barely shields somebody else, like that's it. Like you're probably gonna lose. And unfortunately for P1, that is exactly what happened in Game 3, because Immortals won Game 2, pushed to Game 3, and yeah, I think she was like 28 minutes, she was 10-1, and it wasn't like she was, owning the other mid laner. It was just the fact that she was just getting fed. And all it took was what I think was like 2 kills in the first 10 minutes, and she was golden. There was, unfortunately for P1, there was nothing that she could have done. And
Yeah.
another good thing was that getting to see Smithy play on another team. I'm kind of a fan of his. Him and Elimination are my favorite players. And I would say Elimination's 1, Smithy's 2. But anyway, he played a really good game, Gragas, because you had said that Gragas was a top pick, and I saw that a lot as well. But I've also seen him kind of trickle back down into the jungle, and
Yeah.
literally all he had to do was feed mid, and that was it. Like, I think he died a few times, but
I think Samsung was the only team who picked Gragas this week as jungle, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I did see that a few times. I thought it was quite interesting. It was very odd. And speaking of you're going back to the Shin talk. I think one reason he's still huge is just because this global ultimate is just so devastating.
That
you get that perfect engage, like the like flash, and ult's right on top of you.
Yep.
And they can get a huge taunt off.
Especially if you run with TP, which why wouldn't you? Like,
oh yeah,
it's oh look,
so
he's at one end. Now it's at the other.
Double global threats. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting. The mid picks. I didn't see a single Ari pick.
Interesting.
In any, I didn't even think I saw an EU LCS either. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of Syndra, Galio.
Yeah, I did see Syndra get banned often. That's
Syndra
for good
still
reason.
A huge ban.
Yeah.
She just press R and die.
Oh, GG easy. Yeah. So let's see what other games. Oh, go ahead.
Saw some Talia bans too.
Yeah, I did see her often. Bjergsen played her, I believe, against C9. I could be wrong, but it was in one of his games that he played really well. And I did notice several ultimates were just absolutely perfect for her. So let's see. Oh, in the Immortals P1 game, Arrow decided to actually play Kog'Maw, which I thought that was interesting. Especially with, because Blade of the Rune King is still so strong. Even after it got nerfed, it's still just...
And it's getting nerfed again.
Yeah, it's getting nerfed again, exactly. Thank you, Lucian.
Which will be very interesting to see how the AD carry meta shifts. Like, will people still build it, or...
Yeah, because, I mean, literally, like for example with Coleten, still a pretty strong pick. Normally what you would do was you would build your Infinity Edge and then you'd go from there. Well now, like Runin's Hurricane and Blade of the Rune King, that you can't touch her. Like that's it. So not only the only one reason I brought her up was because Runin's Hurricane no longer stacks her passive crits on her headshot, which is going to be nice, and I'll be looking forward to that. She won't be so oppressive. Yeah. Because, I mean, especially in lower ranks, like I said, not to say that we're some amazing players by any means, but like it's easily you can just, especially if you have like a Blitzcrank. I love playing Blitz with a Coleten. You don't have to do anything. Just the thought of me pulling you and her shooting your head off is enough for you to stay passive.
Yeah, it's pretty devastating.
So let's see. The two other games I watched actually had Cloud9 in them. So first game was Cloud9 versus TSM, and unfortunately for Cloud9, I don't know what's going on. I don't like. I expected them to, if they don't win, to be like 2 or 3, and I understand it's just 1 week. Completely get that, but out of 5 games they played, they lost 4, and like they were pretty close. So TSM 2-0'd them for their first win of the series. TSMs, I should say. But
Yeah.
Well, I think the big reason was that Double Lift is now back with TSM, and they did not miss a beat. Like it's been, I don't remember how many. I think it was just one season that he didn't play with them, but I mean they were just absolutely wrecking them and doing work. He was by far the MVP of the series.
Yeah.
And let's see. In C9 in both of those games tried Rakan, Zaya, Bottom, which are the newest champions. Um, I
Hmm.
I
And how'd
pers
that go?
I told you they lost both, right?
Yeah.
So not that it was bad. It's just I don't think it was very good for the team comp, especially that when Double Lift would get up, like there was just nothing they can do. Because I personally
Yeah.
purchased Zaya, and she is really not an ADC like the way you play her. You have to play her more as an assassin, and I think that assassins don't do as well in the LCS that I've seen anyway.
You say that, but there's an
Oh,
assassin creeping back in.
oh, I know.
Kassadin.
Mm-hmm. The scourge of season 3. I still have nightmares about
Yeah.
that guy. That I won't
He
lie. That's exciting to see.
teams are actually teams are actually working Kassadin as a counter into Syndra.
Hmm. I'm
Is what
hoping that
teams
works
are
out for
attempting.
them because Syndra is oppressive as crap.
Yeah, so I mean that may free up a
Hmm.
ban.
Yeah,
Don't know where what
that'll be
else they could
interesting to
choose. I
see.
don't know.
Oh,
Could limit the jungle some more, I suppose.
mm-hmm.
The
Ashe just
jungle
got
seems very
destroyed.
limited.
Yeah, like there's some picks that like when you get to higher elos, a Moo for example, you just don't see because they don't work.
Yeah,
Oh look, your kited dead. Oh, you missed with your bandage. GG easy.
yeah.
I
Uh,
I will say
I think
though.
like
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, okay. That game two between TSM and C9 was very close. Like at 36 minutes, they were I think within like 400 gold of each other, which not to say that either team was doing bad, but TSM pretty much sealed the deal. They stole Baron at 36 minutes, and like all they had to do was kill the jungler, and C9 had to back off, and that was all she wrote. And from there, they literally use Baron, push the top two turrets, and then they go back, and then they push up through. I think they push up through top again, and then they couldn't do anything about it by then. So as you were saying,
Very nice. Oh, I don't even remember now, honestly.
no, okay.
Must not have been that important. But
Well,
we
yeah,
could transition into a little of the talk a little bit about Europe.
sure, yeah, sounds good.
There were some interesting things going on during day one. Um, no Sejuani picked, which is
Interesting.
interesting. Um, just a thought I just had though. There was a Sejuani support. I think it was Gate
What?
picked it. Gate on Echo Fox. I think, yeah. I saw it. They tweeted it, but
Uh,
I didn't see the game or how well he did. But
and
it was,
yeah, I was gonna say, and how does that work out? As I
uh,
just stole a kill.
they talked about. I heard some of the analysts and casters were talking about Sejuani was being flexed to support in some solo queue games, but
Hmm.
I don't know if we'll really ever see her in LCS or not. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know. That's an
But
interesting, especially support.
yeah, a lot of players seemed very unprepared for the stage day one in Europe.
Hmm.
Uh,
Kind of some
Febvin,
jitters.
yeah, and like just picks too. Like Febvin decided to play Victor in game one versus Splice, and he's so far out of the meta. Like he should not be picked. Otawamne, he missed I think his first three ults with Gragas in
Oh,
game one. Yeah, it was
ouch.
but some other players did look very impressive. A lot of supports really were very impressive on the Thresh,
Nice.
both LCK and EU. Even I think I would say probably the best was from Europe. I think Jesus, he actually got MVP on from that Fnatic
Hmm.
during their first match because he landed so many hooks.
Well, I'm
It was
pretty sure
ridiculous.
weren't Fnatic just went off this week.
Oh yeah, they did. They came out strong. They
Assert their dominance
dominated.
early. Yeah.
Yeah, like Misfits. This last split, even like they were one of the top teams, and they have max floor in the jungle now, and I don't know if that was their issue, if they just weren't prepared, but Fnatic just destroyed them. Like you would expect like a better match. It's like some of the top two teams,
Yeah.
especially in their group. Like they're the top two teams in Group B. It was pretty crazy. Group A. Who knows what I'm saying now? I'm spewing stuff up my ass, but I'll let the viewers verify that.
Yeah, there we go. Some
But,
group interactions.
Yeah, Splice had some very cheese picks. They had Lucian mid with an Akali top. Did not go very well at all. It was interesting to see. Ignar played the first Braum I'd seen. And
Yeah, that's a
awful.
support that you see often in just like lower rank games or like even just normals, but you don't see it very often.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's sometimes a comfort pick.
Yeah.
I think I saw it a couple times, maybe twice. But yeah, Ignar picked it, and he was just getting destroyed. He was getting caught out and getting hooked, and they were just lighting him up. But with Rift Herald talk, since it was pretty heavily ignored, Fnatic actually did pretty well with it. They actually managed to get all three mid towers with Rift Herald.
Nice.
In game 2, it was pretty impressive. It seems like I don't know. Papa Smithy was talking about it, and it would seem, what you would want to do is trying to get both. The first mid tower and the second is probably the best you could do with it. But it's a few times it looked like teams tried to attempt that, but once as the week went on, it looked more like just drop it mid. And teams weren't even helping Rift Herald get the tower. Like they would just walk away, and you would hope they'd get it, or they didn't. Like it's like, oh, here you go, maybe we'll get mid tower. And I don't know. There's still talk about who should pick it up. I don't know if you noticed in NA at all. Like our jungles usually taking it, or is NA even focusing Rift Herald?
Well, in the games that I saw in NA, as I just missed a poll, actually people were getting killed getting it. Or trying to get it, which I don't remember which game it was in, to be honest with you, but like at 13 minutes, I think it was the TSM C9 game that, or maybe it was against CLG. I think it was actually against CLG, and like they're dying trying to get it. So like I feel like it is strong, definitely, but at the same time, is it worth it? Especially if you lose it and then you lose 2 kills. Especially like 13 minutes of a game when it can really matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I think most of the time when teams took it, it was usually a free objective most of the time. There was only a couple of times where teams really fought for it.
Yeah.
But...
Oh, I timed that wrong.
You were talking about Zaya and Rakan. Didn't see any picks for those day 1, but Rocket did pick it up in game 1 versus G2, and they did quite well. They took out G2. Granted, G2 had 3 subs in, and also side note, Rocket ended up losing 2-1 against G2 with 3 subs in. So I don't know if that just tilts Rocket off the face of the earth and their season's over, or
no kidding.
Are they gonna try and come back? Because these subs aren't even the LCS players. Like they're not even professional official subs.
Oh,
they were just
players
they picked up, and they were like, "Get in here!"
Come
like
here.
They had their mid lane replacement. I can't think of his name right now. Apologize, but he had no time at all to work with anybody on the team.
He just kind of was like a plug and play then.
Yeah, because Perks got sick the night before.
Oh.
And it looked like their synergy looked like they'd been playing for weeks. Like
wow.
Mid lane and bot lane, like they were on it. Like it was impressive.
Yeah. Oh, so by the way, how did that guy getting sick the night before a match go for you?
Oh, well, I just lost estimated 90 points on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
But still managed to take you down.
Yeah, don't rub it in.
With Reckless and his amazing 104 points.
Second most among all
That
players.
is why Yeah, that's why I first picked him.
Mm-hmm.
Reckless is probably my favorite LCS player.
Yeah. Did
I
your
think
homework then.
second, yeah, I think second probably Marn,
Mm-hmm.
just because I don't know, his picks are fun.
Yeah.
And really, I don't know, he's just kind of crazy and funny. I think maybe, in all honesty, he's probably the reason why Freak is maybe not as good as it could be.
Mm-hmm.
But just because sometimes some of his picks, but I mean, their jungle spirit struggles as well. It'll be interesting to see if he still continues to play next week. Because last split, Mowgli did have the starting position, but it was interesting. Like all the jungles that had got benched got put back in. Ambition got to start again for Samsung, and
Interesting.
he'd been benched. He'd been benched since week 2 of last split. And yeah, the casters didn't think he was even going to start because he just got married. He played awful in the spring split, and they're like, no, get in there.
Yeah.
So for me, that was pretty nice because I liked Ambition after seeing him play in Worlds last year against Samsung or against SKT.
Yeah. Well, on the screen here, our match just ended, as you can see. Had a nice little victory here. So I guess we could probably sum up our video here, or I should say our podcast. Hopefully we'll be adding some more, technical things to it soon. As you see, I got an S. Yeah, because I'm not a noob. Oh, yeah, it's a silver 5 in that game, because I'm so good. So, what game are you looking forward to this next week? Like, if you had to pick one game. Or maybe one team.
All the regions?
Yeah, of all the regions.
I think, I don't know. Fnatic G2 will probably be very good if G2. I think everybody should be back. Trick and Expect, I believe, are back. And if Perks is healthy,
Yeah.
that should be a pretty good matchup. And then, I don't know, possibly in the LCK, the Longzhu SKT game should be pretty good. But
yeah.
For me, I think I'm going to enjoy the Freak of Freaks and Samsung just because I enjoy watching Marn.
Yeah, definitely.
But I would say those are my 3 top picks.
Yeah. So for me, my first pick or the team I want to watch is Cloud9 because I'll be doing a lot of the NA games and I want to see how they bounce back because I mean they were close against TSM to forcing a game 3, but then they got their butts whipped by CLG. They did win a game, but at the end, especially I was reading Galio's name and thinking about that. Especially after CLG picked Xayah and Rakan, which wasn't working for C9, and then they turn around and just annihilated them with it. Their team fights were perfect, and that's what Xayah needs, is good team fights, especially with a Galio and an Olaf on the team. I think you're good.
Olaf's kind of scary.
Yeah, well, exactly. He's like an under the radar, scary top. Like yes, he's not going to do the most amount of damage. He may not be able to 1v1 your fed mid or whatever, but he can soak a lot of damage and get right to that back line with his ult. Like,
oh yeah,
especially if you have Galio over the top.
Story, Ghost.
Yep. Yep.
Goodbye.
And the other team that I'm really wanting to watch, well, obviously I want to watch Fly because FlyQuest is my favorite team, as I said. They're playing not too well right now. A lot of room for improvement. But I really wanted to watch Immortals because I was pleasantly surprised. Like I think I said earlier, not that they're a bad team by any means. Because, I mean, if you really think about it, these are all professional players. None of these are bad players. But, like, they surprisingly did well. And I'm really looking forward to see how they progress as a team and if they can contend for the top spot. Because a lot of people are going to say, well, it's TSM's to lose, which they did win Spring Split, which is great. They won Summer last year. But really looking forward to see if Immortals can kind of dethrone them. That even though favorite teams FlyQuest, I want to see Immortals do well, and I really think they can. We'll just have to see down the stretch.
Now, when you say dethrone them, you don't mean win the split, do you?
Maybe so.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
I cannot wait to see when they play. I'm not sure exactly what day they play. If you give me a second. Yeah, they don't play week.
I'll chime in here a little bit.
Yeah.
It would be interesting though, see where Immortals can go if FlyQuest continues to play the way they are. Immortals could maybe take their spot.
No,
But
not.
it should be. Granted, I didn't watch any of the NA this week, but I did see Team Dignitas and Echo Fox actually came out the gate strong.
Yes,
both
they
2-0.
did. Yes, they did.
That could be very interesting if they keep it up.
Yep. I
They
believe
see
there's only
some
3
real
teams.
fights for positions.
There's only 3 teams that are undefeated right now.
Yeah.
So, and not too many times. Well, I guess I had already talked about it. I guess that Immortals already played TSM and they 2-0'd them.
Yeah.
And then they play
they
again
can
week
keep that up.
5. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see what. Like, yes, they beat them on the first week. Granted, it was day 3 of the first week. But how does the team get better or build on that success to move on to week 5 when they play them again? I think they actually play like week 9 again.
Yeah.
No.
And it'll be interesting too by then, the 7.11. Few changes there that would be interesting to see how that's going to switch up things in the meta.
Sure will.
I don't know if. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if they have anything else big planned for the patches after. Any big item changes.
I don't know.
So
Well, I guess. Go ahead.
I think 7.10, 7.11 are there where they're trying to make their big changes. Try and get them out the way early.
Yeah, we'll just have to see what Rito has in store for us.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the first week went pretty well.
I think so
Not
too.
sure what's going on with. Not sure what's going on with the LPL. A lot of things they're kind of going. They just franchised, so they're no longer going to have their Challenger series. They added 3 of the Challenger teams to the LCS, and according to what they've been saying, every year they're going to add 2 more teams to the LCS until they're all the
Wow.
Challenger teams are eventually in the LCS. So they're going to have like a 20-team LCS eventually.
That would be awesome.
And
they're
that part would be awesome, but they're talking about doing even city teams. So a team will be designated to a city,
that would
which
be
could kind of be bad, depending on the infrastructure. It's a city could have an advantage over another. With bandwidth, stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know when else LPL.
That just means everyone would want to play in the EU.
Yeah, I know, right?
I don't know about them, but I wouldn't want to be playing in Kansas City's internet.
Yeah, exactly.
I know from first-hand experience.
Yeah. Somebody in the LPL mentioned he made a remark that the other regions are going to be going this way as well, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I don't think any of the other regions started up, any of the smaller regions that I know of. I'm not sure if CBLOL or Russia started. GPL, I know, hasn't. That should be interesting too, because last split, a lot of it was hosted in the Philippines, I believe.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and since there's kind of an uprising going on there at the moment, so we won't jump into that, but
we'll save that for another podcast.
Yeah, there's some crazy things going on in the Philippines, so we'll see what happens there.
All right.
But once LPL starts up, we may have to rethink how we're watching things. Maybe focus on just certain teams, or even cut out some regions. So I don't know. If anybody's watching, let us know what you think. Which regions you would maybe like us to see as focus, or teams possibly.
Yeah.
Hopefully this wasn't too long. Like I said, we'll try and cut things down. We'll watch this, see how bad we are, see how terrible we are. Maybe I'll attempt to allow Mr. Eggplant to talk a little more next time.
Oh, well, the reason he talks more is because he did more. He said he had 5.5 pages of notes on games. I won't lie, I had a page at most. And we had kind of planned for these to be like 15 minutes, and here we are coming up on 40 minutes. So that's really exciting, just because I mean we had a lot to talk about. I mean, I didn't even have that much on NA to talk about, and yet we're still here at 40 minutes and really looking forward to these. I didn't know how well this would go, but I think it went really well, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope you guys will leave us a comment and let us know if you did watch, and like you said, what teams to be watching out for. Maybe who's your favorite team? Who's your favorite player? I'd like to kind of get a community, kind of conversation going. I do that on all my Hunter videos, and I would love to do it on these podcasts.
Yeah, and I apologize to anybody who lasted this long, 40 minutes.
You are the real MVP, just so you know.
Yeah, I think that's something we'll try and work on. Maybe try grind them down to at least max of 20 minutes.
We'll see what we can do.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think since we're at 40 minutes, probably should end this. So, thank you for watching.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. And until next time, I'll see you later.
This has been the League of Legends Extreme Podcast.
Yeah! See you guys.